Alright, hello, good day to you guys. So in this video I'm going to be explaining how you can make use of data validation in Microsoft Excel. So basically data validation is a way of controlling, managing how you want your how you want the information that will be entered into maybe your column, your cells, how you want to be able to manage those things. So say for example you have a data or you have a column, but in that column you only want a text to be entered inside of the column. So you can set a rule that can say, hey, should you enter or input or try to insert anything that is not a text, then Microsoft Excel is going to throw an error message. So data validation in Microsoft Excel is a very interesting tool, because normally as a data analyst you are supposed to always make sure you validate your data to make sure that every single thing that you've done is correct. So how can we now make use of data validation? How can we set these rules in Microsoft Excel? Let's try and create a dummy data together. Let's say we have a column called name, we have a column called scores, then we have another column called subject. So I'm going to format these guys real quick. So say black, then the font should be white. Now I have random names. I have Wittig, I have Leon, I have, let's say, Yusuf, I have Smith, I have Chris. Let me stop there. So for scores, the students that I have here, I have 5 students, and these 5 students have just taken a test. So the test is overall score of 40. So that means no student can score more than 40, obviously, if the set mark or the benchmark of the total scores that is that you cannot have more than 40 based on this test that we've just conducted. So I'm now going to say, I can say something like, hey, Microsoft Excel, I don't want anybody to be able to insert a value that is more than 40. And when you have a score for students, for example, a student can either score from 0, like can either score 0, 1, 2, 3, up to 30. No student can score 20, 25, 26 at the same time. It's not possible. So this is a particular subject and you are supposed to score a particular score. So if, for example, this first student I have scores 20, then the guy should just have 20. In the case of the second guy, let's say for example I have 46. In this case, I already know that there is an error because no student is expected to score more than 40. So this can be due to human error, data entry error, and so on and so forth. But how can I make sure that Microsoft Excel does not allow a score that is not within range? So this is where data validation comes in. So I can easily say, hey, Microsoft Excel, you see these cells that I've just selected? We have data validation. Data validation is right here. So I can say, hey, Microsoft Excel, you see data validation? I want you to ensure that nobody is going to score more than 40. So if I click on the data validation as I have here, I have the setting. I can set it and say, hey, the validation criteria, I want O number. Definitely scores is going to be O number. I want the value to be O number. And the data is going to be between, or you can set as much as, we have different options there. You can say equal to, you can say greater than, you can say less than, you can say less than or equal to. But based on this particular criteria that we're working with, we're going to be going with the between. And that is also the default for O number. So I can say, hey, I want the minimum value to be 0 because nobody is going to score negative value. Nobody is going to score -1, -20, -10, and so on and so forth. Then I'm going to set the maximum score to 40. That means nobody is going to have a score that is more than 40 because 40 is the highest mark obtainable. And I'm going to say okay. Then if I come back to this score and say this person scored 20, you can see Microsoft Excel straight up accepted that value. Then if I say, hey, this person scores 45, and immediately Microsoft Excel is going to throw an error and say the value doesn't match the restrict, I mean the validation that you have supplied. So based on the definition of your data validation to these cells, 45 doesn't fit. If I have, and as you can see, it is not allowing you to even try to input that data. The data can be, you can input that data, but it's not going to be recorded because it is now more than the value that you specified. If I say something like 35, as you can see, if I say 10, if I say 19, if I say 11, now all these values are working as they are supposed to. Then when it gets to, or when it comes to say subject, let's say for example the subject are just two. We have two subjects. The first one is English, the second one is mathematics. So in this case I have 5 students, and let's say for example I have more than 5 students and I need to insert either English or mathematics for these folks. Now for me to come to the subject and start typing English mathematics one after the other, I can easily set a data validation for this as well. So in this case I'm going to say, okay, for this column of subject I want to create a data validation, but the data validation in this case is going to be a list. A list is like a drop down. Then I'm going to say the source. The source basically means where is my data going to be coming from. So I want the data to come from English and mathematics. Then I say okay. Then right here you can see that a drop down column has already been specified, as you can see. So we already have a drop down right by the side of our data or of our column. So I have Wittig, I have 20, which is the scores. Then the next thing for me to do is basically say, hey, I want to select a particular value for this person. So when I click on the value, then it says, do you want English or mathematics? Based on the English and mathematics that I selected to be registered inside my data validation. Then in this case, if I say this person is English, this person is say English as well, then this person is mathematics, this person is English, and this person is mathematics. So in this way, it's going to allow me to my work is going to be faster, my process is going to be faster. I don't have to come down and type every single time. Now, still on that data validation, we still have all that. We have a lot of criteria that you can set. So you can say decimal is going to be date, is going to be time. Let's say date. You started the business 1st of January 2023, and then you want to create an inventory management tool, and you want to make sure that no date less than 1st of January 2023 is registered, because you started your business 1st of January 2023 until today. So that means you don't expect, since we are still in today, you don't expect any value to be entered for tomorrow, next 10 days, next 15 days, because those data are not available yet. So one way to ensure that this actually is strictly followed is by creating a data validation and set your date from, let's say, this particular date to this particular date. You can also create them in a cell and then reference them as well. So one interesting thing again about Microsoft Excel data validation is that you can try and make it easy for your audience or for your user to actually have an idea of what they are going to insert inside of the particular cell. So you can set an input message and say the title is going to be input or value input, or it can be anything. You can set your title for the data validation based on the kind of thing you are trying to restrict it to. So value input, and you can say only insert or only enter value between 0 and 40. So if you click on OK, as you can see, before you can even insert, when you click on a particular cell, you want to say, for example, you want to insert something, then that guy is going to be telling you that, hey, what you are trying to do is, you have to highlight all, you have to make sure all the cells are highlighted before you make use of the data validation, so that you can throw the error at the same time. So the title is going to be value input, just doing it again, then say only enter value between 0 and 40, then say okay. And when you come right here, then this guy is already going to be telling you that, hey, the value that you should enter should be between 0 and 40. You are trying to explain to the user because they are not the one that set or created this particular model. Then you can also create something we call the error alert. You can change the sign if you want it to be a store icon, or you want the warning icon, or you want information icon. All of them work in different ways. Stop when you don't want them to actually do something. Warning when you are trying to give them an heads up that I don't think this is a good idea. And information when you're just trying to explain what that person should do. So in this case, we can go with any of them. Let's say stop, for example, and I can say value error. That's the error message, value error. Don't forget, this can also be anything. Then the error message is going to be values not between 0 and 40 is not allowed. Something like this. So if I say okay, then I come here and say, hey, this is going to be 45, for example. Data validation state to be data validation is not active anymore. So immediately you want to create a data validation on a particular thing. Just for example, the way we created the error alert, that means the previous criteria that has been set is going to be deleted, so it's not going to be responsive anymore. So we're going to just do this very quickly. So value between 0 and 40, then say input message if you have anything, just like we said the other time. So value input, and say only enter value between 0 and 40. Then the error alert, just like I just explained, value error, and say what error message should be thrown if this person did not adhere to the rule stated. So we're going to say values not between 0 and 40 are not allowed. Then say okay. So in this case, if I come back here and say 45, then enter, then Microsoft Excel is going to tell me values not between 0 and 40 are not allowed. So if your value is not between 0 and 40, you can't input that particular value. So let's delete this and say 30, then it's going to accept it. Let's say 40, then it's going to accept it. Let's say 25, it's going to be accepted. Let's say 98, then Microsoft Excel is going to throw an error message that say values that is not between 0 and 40 are not allowed. So this is how you can easily make use of data validation in Microsoft Excel. If you have any question or you're confused about any part of this explanation, you can drop your question in the comment section. Thank you very much. See you in the next video.